Welcome back to my list of my top 10 most influential games. Number 10 was Catan, which was the game that got me into board gaming. And I played this game a lot with my family, over and over and over. At the time, my kids were a lot younger and there was a lot of competition between them, and they would get upset if they lost or upset if nobody would trade this resource for that resource or take the longest road from them. Tempers flared. I have no idea where they got that from. In order to make game night fun again, I thought, okay, let me go look up another game to get to the table. So as I was doing my research, there was a new game that had came out at that time that was cooperative. Now, this was intriguing to me because as I looked into it, you play together with a common goal. I never played a cooperative game before. I thought that was really neat to have work together. You either lose together, you either win together. I thought this is perfect because if anybody gets upset, we all get to get upset. And if there's rejoicing, then everybody gets to rejoice. And I'm talking about the classic game, Pandemic. Now, this game has a pretty far-fetched theme where the world is taken over by some diseases, and humanity must come together to get them under control, find the cures, and immediately eradicate the disease. Like I said, far-fetched, unrealistic theme in 2008. All right, look, let's head to the table and check it out. This is Pandemic, a game designed by Matt Leacock, published by Z-Man Games. This game came out in 2008 and is a 2 to 4 player game that plays in roughly an hour. The board is a map where 4 different diseases represented by cubes are spreading around the world. Each player takes one of 5 unique roles with the goal of treating the diseases by removing cubes, finding a cure, and ultimately eradicating the disease. A player takes 4 actions on their turn with the same actions available to all players, such as moving around the board, treating diseases, building research stations, finding cures, and trading cards with other players. But here's what is cool. This is the first game I ever played where players have unique abilities. Now, everybody has the same actions and special actions, but the roles make the special actions even better. For example, the scientist only needs to turn in 4 cards of the same color in order to find a cure of a disease as opposed to 5, and when a medic removes cubes from the board, he can remove all the cubes from an area instead of just 1. I just thought this was the coolest thing ever because everybody at the table had a special action that allowed us to work together in unique ways. And then every time we played, you could pick a different role, making the game different for every time that you played the game. Now, I remember when first reading about the game, I wasn't sure how we played against the game. I didn't fully get how the AI works. Part of the brilliance of this game is that the AI is nothing more than a stack of cards called the Infector Draw Pile. We called it a few other colorful names, but I won't mention those here to keep it family friendly. After a player takes their turn, they draw the number of cards equal to the infection rate. For each card drawn, a disease is added to the city shown on the card. But here's the thing, if you ever add a cube to a city that already has 3 cubes, an outbreak occurs where every adjoining city also gets a cube, and if any of those cities already have 3 cubes of that color, another outbreak happens, causing a chain reaction. That is really annoying, especially after you spent time cleaning off the board, trying to get everything situated, and then that infection deck causes an outbreak to occur, and it could be a situation where nobody's there to help take care of it. Oh, and there's another card that's randomly distributed across the player's draw deck, the Epidemic Card. Now, typically this deck contains the cards you need to find cures, move across the map, or even special events. But when this card is drawn, the situation goes from bad to worse. The infection rate goes up, a random city gets 3 cubes, and all those cards that were discarded in the Infector deck get shuffled back and put on top of the deck. That means all those cities you just had to infect are going to get infected again. There is a lot of stress when playing this game, but that's what made this game so good. We went from just sitting enjoying the game to where we were on the edge of our seat to where we were standing over the player deck just praying that that Epidemic card does not come up. And this is the first game I ever played which had that sense of tension. You know, where you're playing a game and you're anticipating something getting ready to happen. And now I love to play games that has that tension built into it. In fact, games that have this tension of unsure when something may happen, or you're just anticipating for the axe to fall or something really good to occur, It just creates very memorable gaming experiences. Now, the way you win this game is by eradicating all the diseases. But here's the thing, there's multiple ways to lose. If you draw through the player deck, you lose. If you have 8 outbreaks, you lose. If you need to add a cube to the board but there's none left in the supply, you lose. So there's only one way to win, yet multiple ways to lose. Brutal, but that's what makes it so much fun. Oh, by the way, this is the OG box with the original box art. I bought this back in 2008, and the list price on the back is $34.99. The current price is now $44.99. I got a deal. This game created so many memorable experiences with our family. We loved sitting there and trying to work together and decide who should go win and use their special abilities. We knew that that next card might be the Epidemic card that would give us that loss. And if it wasn't, we'd rejoice to be able to play possibly one more turn to finally win the game. Now, we played this game a lot, and as expansions came out, we tried some of those too. And there were a few expansions. But it wasn't until a few years back when Pandemic Legacy was released that it came back onto our table for regular game nights. This was a brand new vision of this game, to where instead of just sitting down and playing just one game and putting it away, you played a game and the decisions that you made and the result of that game lasted from game to game. Stickers would come onto the board, cards were ripped, new abilities would come into play. And as the game built upon itself, a story started opening up. And I thought this was really cool because this is how we really got back into it. It wasn't necessarily just the gameplay mechanisms, it was the story. We knew the basic story of Pandemic, but here was this brand new story that was unfolding in front of us. And the game is played out over a calendar year. And we jumped from month to try to unravel more of the story, figure what was going out, try to make the best decisions for our group so that we could stay alive and survive to the end. It just created many months of just fantastic experience. And they've had 3 versions of Pandemic Legacy with Season 1, 2, and Season 0. So there was a lot of gaming to be played in those boxes. We tried out Pandemic Legacy 7 years after we played the original Pandemic. And even at that time, because of this new version, brand new experiences will be created and great memories were being made. Another interesting thing about Pandemic is that its core mechanisms can be used for other themes besides just trying to cure and eradicate diseases. For example, I really liked Pandemic Fall of Rome, where 4 different tribes are marching towards Rome. You play as Romans to try and forge alliances to stave off these barbaric attacks. And then there was Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu, where you have to seal portals and shut down cults in order to save Arkham. All new settings and themes, but with the very familiar pandemic mechanisms that you were used to. Things come out on the board, you need to deal with those things, and typically everybody has a unique role in order to deal with that situation. And coming out in 2021 is a brand new pandemic style game called World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King. I am so pumped for this because I have a long history with Warcraft games. I love the story of Arceus and his path to becoming the Lich King in Warcraft 3. And I was at GameStop for the midnight release of the World of Warcraft MMO. So I have a long history in this universe and cannot wait to see how this game plays on the table. The premise is that you play as one of the iconic wild characters trying to control the Scourge in Azeroth, with the goal of having a final battle against Arceus, the Lich King. So there it is, number 9, Pandemic, the game that got me into co-op games over 13 years ago, and a game that is so solid and well designed, its mechanisms are still being used in games today. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any comments on Pandemic, put them down below, I would love to read them. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to keep up with the rest of this list, make sure to hit that subscribe button. My number 8 game is a game that I bought strictly based on theme. Saw the box cover, I said, gotta have that. But it was a game that I almost did not get to the table because I was so intimidated by the rulebook. So make sure to come back next time for my number 8 most influential game of all time.